What is up, creative athletes? Welcome to the podcast. It is CDG or Chris David Garcia, and I'm here with Ross. Ross, what's going on?
What's up?
Rossi.
What's going on?
Rossi Quinta.
That's right. Everyone found out my middle name in the last recap.
I'm going to change you in my phone. I'm going to change your contact information.
I'm good with that.
Man, let's get into it. I'm going to be looking down at my screen, so forgive me for that. Just referencing some notes on the conference we just wrapped up, and we just kind of wanted to go through it and talk about all the highlights and lowlights.
Yeah, so things got a little crazy, and we weren't able to recap day two as quickly as we wanted to, but here we are in our hometowns doing it, so let's do it.
Ross,
let's jump right in.
Ross, you're in LA, your famous, beautiful office. What's up with that? What's that jersey with the sun? Is that like heritage?
That was the jersey we made for Filipino Heritage Night. So we got Filipino
Sweet.
Heritage Night, Japanese Heritage Night, Korean Heritage Night.
Oh, that's cool.
Heritage Night. So
that's
just the colorful backdrop.
Yeah, I love it. Got the World Champs logo there too, that I'm sure you designed. Well, I'm coming to you guys from MLC Studios here in downtown Houston, Texas. So you'll see some stranglers here. Yeah, coming to you from downtown Houston, Texas. So you might see some folks in the background hanging out. Downtown tends to attract an awesome group of folks. Anyway, yeah, let's get into it. How do you want to kick things off, man?
Let's just jump into the agenda from day two, and I'd like to get your thoughts on some of our awesome speakers. So let's start day two. The very first speaker we had was the irrepressible super art director, Matt Lehman.
Yeah.
Tell me what you thought, man.
Well, last time we talked, I think I mentioned he was going to be funny. He was really funny. I don't think he tries to be, but he just cracked me up on some of his very humble comments about his work. His work is insanely diverse, man. Illustrative, cartoonistic to realistic to abstract to lettering to typography. I mean, just crazy amounts of diversity in his body of work, and just sharing it, and adding some, I guess, pro tips, I would say, things that rules that he lives by, was great. I really enjoyed the pro tips, specifically when he would go to these screens and kind of share his rules to live by. But I mean, his work was, he broke it down. He broke down the client, why he did the job, was he happy with it, and how it was relevant. So for me, going through that journey was perfect.
Yeah. And he was really like a rock star, because after he was done, a bunch of people from a bunch of creative athletes from the audience made sure to come up to him, ask him for his autograph and stuff. Not really ask for his autograph, but they were, they just want to get a piece of him and talk to Matt and pick his brain a little more. And he was very obliging. I think he even had some little cool little stickers he was giving out. So that kind of stood out to me. He said one thing that really stood out during his talk. He said, a good creative will not just give a client what they ask for. A good creative will give the client what the client didn't know they wanted. And that really hit home with me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we've talked about it before. It's that X factor of saying, hey, here's what you asked for, but respectfully, here's what I think you should be doing. And honestly, even if they don't go for that route, I think it's just super valuable and gains a lot of, trust with your client to show that. And you obviously can do that in-house, right? Hey, here's the logo.
Absolutely.
We need one comp, delivered 3, or here's the project and how we like it. We just had a project with that recently where client was they laid it out specifically, hierarchy and everything. And it made no sense. So we did it that way, but we also did it another way to show, hey, this is how industry, standards should look as far as hierarchy goes. but in regards to design and comps, like for sure, I think it shows a lot of value too in like the process. It's not just, here's the one idea I had based on the brief. It's, you're paying us. Yeah, I'm hired here for a reason, to bring ideas and, concepts to the table. And, here's 2 or 3. Yeah. There were so many of those.
Yeah.
Man, he crushed it. As a
He
matter of
had a
fact,
bunch of nuggets that you could take home, and it was
yeah.
great, man.
And the
Um,
amount of work was just crazy. Like the amount of sports work. What I loved about his style, is that it wasn't all like typical, Photoshop, like
yeah,
madness.
yeah.
It's super illustrative. Most of it honestly was illustration, but it was
Well, it was like you
very,
were saying, he doesn't even really have Matt doesn't really have a particular style. And I think that
yeah,
just speaks to his skill level as an art director. I mean, is just there was a very wide spectrum. Even if you go to his website, and we were scouting him out before we asked him to speak, I was like, wow, this guy has a really wide range.
yeah, so hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So um thank you, Matt. Matt was awesome. Then after Matt, we had our last breakout um, of the conference, and I did not get a chance to see him speak because I was in the other room. But tell me about Esteban Toro, and he spoke a little bit about Premiere and After Effects and video editing. So, what kind of things do you think we took from that?
Um, well, he's such a pro. Um, Esteban travels the nation speaking on Adobe's behalf. He's literally traveled the world making a documentary that
Wow.
was sponsored by Sony. And like yeah. Um, so he's just very, there's just a type of mannerism that comes with doing all that. I don't mean to sound like snobby or anything like that, because I haven't done those things, but he has like this calm demeanor, and the way he was breaking down the the AI tools in Premiere and After Effects made it seem so easy to do. It was like, oh, I could do this. Yeah, thank you. It's super uh intricate technology that he was just, casually presenting, and walking us through pieces of Premiere and After Effects that you're there and you just don't click on, you don't even know what they do, because you stay in your zone and like your rhythm and your structure of how you build things. And definitely challenging everyone to step outside the box, go to these new features and use them. One of them specifically was editing via text. It was crazy to see that he basically dropped a piece of footage in and wanted to trim, portions out. So he went in and you know, honestly, I don't know the exact feature, but he basically did a transcript of it. He hit a button, boom, it laid the transcript of all the footage. Of course, it was an interview setting, so it was pretty straightforward. It wasn't like a crowd or anything. And
Mhm.
then he was able to read the transcript and, let's say, delete like certain sentences in the transcript, and then you see Premiere reacting to that, and it deletes that from the timeline. And so basically you can go into the transcript and just up, and it'll edit it for you, make all your clean cuts. And that was just like the beginning of that tool. It was really interesting to, I guess, the way he phrased it, like you really can edit a videos by editing text. So that was just one feature, but really brought a cool approach to, a software that's pretty intimidating. I mean, I know a lot of videographers and
Yeah.
motion graphics people were in the room, and they knew a lot of that stuff, obviously, because we have some of the top talent in the country in the room. But still, someone like Esteban, who gets paid by Adobe and travels the country and is in and out of this software daily, um, was, like I said, pushing us to get more involved in the software and the upgrades, and have them basically improve your workflow.
It's so crazy how, like, an expert, these people like Esteban get on stage, and they start talking about, they're casually talking about these features in the software that they're expert level at. And, you know, they're just casually talking about it. People in the audience are just like us are like blown away, like, wow, like no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it sounded like that.
No,
that
exactly, man. Because
conversation
think about
was.
it. I mean, in sports, you're always under the gun. You don't have time to like explore new features, man.
Right.
It's like, you know, the software will let you know, hey, new feature, cool, thanks. I'm gonna go to the tools that I usually know. I gotta get this done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in the other breakout room, I had the pleasure of watching Jeremy Mitchell, our friend Jeremy Mitchell of Mitchell Bat Company.
Nashville
And
native.
Nashville native. And he basically just, it's funny. I was supposed to intro him and I didn't even have to intro him. When I got to the room, he was already like doing a whole stand-up routine. So I was like, you're good, just go. He talked about his story and how he started the bat company and how he basically started a bat company but had no bats, which was crazy. So it was just a lesson about kind of diving in sometimes and just going for it.
Yeah.
Those of us that work in baseball, you know, we know Jeremy Mitchell, we know Mitchell Bat Company. You know, they show up in a lot of our spring training photo day portraits. I think the Red Sox may have been the first to use him.
Yeah.
He has all of these great collaborations with different high level companies, but also, you know, obviously in baseball, you know, the local baseball powerhouse, Vanderbilt, the Sounds, and with a bunch of MLB teams. And he's basically taken a piece of equipment, which was a baseball bat, which for years were basically just a wood stick, you know, with some imprints on it, for better or worse. It might be a different color stain or whatnot, but they were just, you know, bats were brown for 100 years. And then, you know, they were brown or black. And then now, even in MLB, they allow on field, in the field of play, they allow, you know, painted and more personalized bat designs. It's just cool to see that kind of intersection of art and functional equipment. I'm not sure that his bats are used in games, but they are like regulation size bats. And there's the designs he does with simple striping, colors, color blocking, logos. This is really cool.
Yeah. The that simplistic, like nostalgic design, man. He has such a good understanding of color. You know, for instance, he made our Nashville bat. He made our commemorative Nashville bat, like, you know, just beautiful pattern of colors. I think that takes a real keen eye. He also has an agency background, so he's real familiar with you know, working for brands as well. I might be wrong on that, but I know he also.
No, he does have an agency background.
He does, right?
He might still work for an agency, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He talked a little bit about that. I kind of was able to pop in for a little bit, and but yeah, again, to just echo what you said though about taking risk, man, it was just such an encouraging story to and to hear, you know, his journey, how it began, and then also just where it's taken him. You know, the amount of relationships and connections that he has really has just kind of transcended his business. And then also just, again, just like part of Connect, I think, is hearing these inspirational stories of you know, untraditional, unorthodox type of creative stories that you didn't know existed. And also, you know, you're realizing, you know, should I be taking chances here at the office, or, you know, for another role, or you know, a side hustle or anything like that. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And I think anytime we have guests like him and Skee and Cowart, they just like you know, just motivate you to get out of your comfort zone at the end of the day is kind of where I'm going with that.
So yeah, Jeremy Mitchell, very cool stuff. Nashville native. Just thanks again for showing out, man.
Sure.
Back to the main stage. So ever since the iPad Pro came out and the Apple Pencil came out, and basically the Apple Pencil was available to the masses. What have we all been trying to do? We've all been trying to illustrate on the iPad, illustrate digitally, do hand lettering, create portraits. But no one has quite done it as well as our friend Rob Zilla III. He dropped a lot of knowledge and just broke it down with a lot of technical as well as inspirational tidbits in his session. So, Chris, what did you take from our buddy Rob Zilla's little talk?
Rob's another guy that is just super inspirational, does so many things. He also travels the country with Adobe and does these workshops and lectures basically. He's the one that I mentioned, and if you watch the recap, that I felt like we were in church, because he gives it to you so straight up, and it's almost like you should know this, like these are things that you should be doing real confidently. And it's right. A lot of them are just kind of like making bold, like one of the things he mentioned was like, it doesn't have to be overly done. It doesn't have to have layers on layers on layers and effects on effects on effects. Like there's a time and place for that, sure. But there's something beautiful about clean art, and a lot of his styles like that, and speed, and knowing your software, knowing your technical aspects of what you do. So a lot of it was, I mean, first of all, or second of all, he's actually really funny too. Like I was cracking up in his talk, because it's, a lot of what he was saying was so true, and he does it in a way that's like kind of comedic, but it's also like a little bit, I don't want to say authoritative, but just so firm. He knows it, and it's like he's the only speaker I think that could not speak and he's making his point, because there were multiple times where he just sits there and looks at the audience, and then after about 5 seconds, everyone starts laughing because they got it. Took a second.
Where that comes from. He has a teaching background. Rob has a teaching background.
Yeah.
And it totally comes through with how he explains things, but also, like you're just saying, how he kind of has those dramatic pauses, how he relates to who he's speaking to. We're of that age group where, we grew up playing Nintendo. So right. when he like started talking about his cheat codes, and he had like, I think it was Contra, the game Contra.
Yeah, Contra.
But he had the cheat code, the actual cheat code, and automatically I was taken back to like when I was like 11, 12 years old. It was crazy. And when a speaker is able to do that and connect with his audience like that, you could just tell people were just they were just automatically engaged after that.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. That another thing he said that really resonated was drills build skills.
Yes.
And man, it took me a second to like, because it's definitely a play on words, but drills build skills, and he just hammered that home. About finding these cheat codes and utilizing them, and just getting that repetition in, and not being afraid to fail a little bit, suck at it for a while. And I mean, it's just like any sport, which kind of feeds to the creative athlete mantra, So no, he's such a good speaker, good friend too. Oh, and then I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but Drink and Draw, did a live animation during that.
That was crazy to see.
Live illustration. Yeah.
That was crazy. And yes, we will get into that, but it was crazy to see, because, we've seen all of Rob's final work, and it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But we saw him actually just take something from the very beginning and just do it right in front of our eyes. It was like a master class. I mean, I was really, people were just super excited about that. So we will get into more of the Drink and Draw a little bit later, but let's go to the next speaker. This was a huge get for us to get this guy. He started his own radio station. He's a world-renowned DJ, not to mention all the other pop culture things he has his hands in. DJ Skee.
Yeah, no, I know you're joking, but it is. I mean, I said it multiple times. Dude's my hero. First of all, I love music, and I mean, obviously everybody does, or most people do. But then there's genres, right? And I'm a big EDM music fan. I lived in Miami for a while. I discovered it for the first time when I moved there, and it always stuck with me. So dance music is just, it's just good for athletics, right? Like in general. Um, so he was an EDM DJ as well, and he has a bunch of EDM friends, and I mean that the way he was able to integrate it into sports and make a career, and really, I mean, we called him a cultural icon because we believe he is. I mean, he's everything he
Yes.
does with music, it's integrated with sports, and so it's hard to ignore that he's a sports guy. And when you find out about his background and where he came from, and how he operates, it's extremely athleticism. It's extreme athleticism. His schedule, his eating habits, his workout. I mean, I laughed later after the conference because I looked back at the photos, and I mean, he presented in basketball shorts, like Nike socks and Air Force Ones, and like a custom athletic T-shirt. It was just.
I think he had Jordans on, actually.
Did he have Jordans?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, it would all match. I think it was like all green. So it was just like
Yep.
perfect because, not every like executive or successful entrepreneur, needs to, dress like, in a blazer and some jeans or whatever. But he, what he's been able to do, his whole talk was about the third door. He referenced his friend who recently wrote a book, and I believe it's titled The Third Door. And it's just this reference of like, most of us don't have access to the front door when it comes to breaking into industries or going to the next level. If we're lucky, we can sneak in the back door, which is also hard now because, there's so much education and people are aware of like, oh, you're just trying to get your foot in, so there's that is almost obsolete nowadays. Super difficult to get into sports or even the industry you want. But he kept on referencing this third door, this side door. And it's just that grind and hustle mentality of don't give up, find creative ways to get in there, and find super creative ways to integrate it all. And really, I think for me, I know being in-house for as long as I had been, it was one of the cheat codes that I had was always finding what was important to like promotions or important to the video production team or important to the ballpark, the entertainment team or the marketing team, the social team, and using those really, important kind of objectives or projects, and then integrating things that I wanted to be involved in or I wanted to do for the better of the company. And so now you're speaking their language and you're integrating it all. And the proposal is not just like, hey, I have a cool idea, let's do a poster series. It's, hey, let's do a poster series that we can give away on social and we could sponsor it, like making this package design. I mean, this package proposal that then propels what you want to do, or who you want to hire or who you want to work with. So that to me, I mean, one, his story was super inspirational. He's still doing it. I mean, he's going to be DJing this year with the Rams, with the Vikings again. But then he breaks down on how integrated it is. He'll have friends who come by who have concerts the night before or the night after or the night after. He'll do a drop, an exclusive drop, and he'll have all that integrated into one package. And so, that's the thing. He just kept on hammering home, and that's the main takeaway I had there is just, you got to be creative as a creative leader in your teams. Like if you want to do short documentaries, videos, on your sports team, then talk to sponsorship, talk to social, talk to the head of, the team manager, put together a proposal, make it work for everyone and get in to that, and get that project that you want to work on using that third door.
Yeah. He really embodied that creative mindset where it's, it's not just the work that we do that's creative. It's, getting your foot in the door takes creativity as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I took from his conversation, when he told that story about how he was basically a teenager, and he's grew up in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and he flew to New York City, which is very different from where he grew up, and basically waited and waited and waited on his opportunity. Just shows that sometimes you just got to go for it, and that's what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah, and left school, and I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about risking it all, man. Yeah, again, just going back to like, and then figuring out that entertainment is sports. A lot of us forget that. And then figuring out a way to like basically morph his whole business into, working with Upper Deck and doing NFTs. I mean, just go to his website. It's
Yeah.
djskee.com, I think it is, and you'll see the projects he works on, and it's like, wow,
It's all
that's why
over
I
the
say
place too.
that's
He's
why
like
I
a
joke around
Renaissance
and say
man.
like he's my hero, because how difficult is it to work in sports and music? Like
Yeah.
that's a nice intersection there.
And I gotta give Skee his credit. You might associate him with football because a lot of his DJ work is with the Vikings and now with the Rams. But when we were at the batting practice at the
Yeah.
Nashville Sound Stadium, he was killing it. He was out
Oh,
there
dude.
running around, shagging balls like a madman,
Yeah.
crushing balls in the cage. So
Yeah, dude, he
a
grew
true
up playing
creative
baseball.
athlete there, man.
Yeah, totally embodied the creative athlete to the fullest extent. But yeah, no, in his talk, he shared that he was he was going to play in Major League Baseball in the MLB.
Yeah.
That was his. I mean, so again, man, it's just so inspiring to hear like these amazing creative athletes that are like born into the sports DNA and never let it go. Obviously
Yeah.
he's made his business like revolve around sports. That doesn't happen, I don't think, by accident. I think that happens in the beginning. I think that's why we're all in it.
Props DJ Skee. And if you keep getting texts from Chris every day, I'll try to
dude, I don't even know his number.
I'll try to back him off a little bit. Last but not least, this was our last speaker of the conference. And as everyone knows, we try to save one of the best for last. And we had Jeremy Cowart talking about his art and his NFTs and his digital know-how to end the conference. And I don't know about you, Chris, but me, when I was watching this guy speak, and not to give Jeremy a huge head or anything, but I felt like I was listening to someone like at genius level. I mean, some of the stuff he was talking about was, I gotta admit, this is even like just flew over my head because it was so out there. I just want to hear your thoughts on our buddy Jeremy.
Yeah, our buddy Jeremy Cowart. Man, I agree with you, Ross. It was truly motivational, man, to hear that type of intellectual thinking when it comes to photography. And we all know a bunch of photographers, right? I mean, there are a bunch in the room. And it just when it comes to the discipline, right? There's every discipline is just so different. But photography could be looked at as like a one-way kind of platform where it's through the camera and editing and all that good stuff, and lighting, of course. But I mean, he just takes it to like another level, to where it's super intricate, super difficult, super challenging, things that, like the way he described it, would make your head hurt, and he just goes for it, and he gets people involved, and he rallies a whole industry, if you will. I mean, some of the things that he was showing were like industry changing and industry trend setting. It's like, oh, dude, you're the first one to do that. And then some of it was so technical. It involved code. It involved like doing massive amount of inputting and exporting. And so it was just that, to hear someone share that like openly and candidly and be super humble about it. I did feel like I was, reuse the reference respectfully, like a mad genius. He's just
Yeah.
First of all, his portfolio is ridiculous. I mean, he's pretty much shot every
Oh,
celebrity
it's
you can think
crazy.
of when it comes to music and entertainment. But that's like just the tip of the iceberg, which is honestly the iceberg for most people. Um, so and he was just so humbled to be there. He was so giving to the crowd. I mean, it was funny because he went through like websites and links and was just like, I wouldn't dare put a presentation to this group. It's so talented. And he mentioned just casually the things that he was doing and like I said, I encourage you to go to his website as well, Jeremy Cowart, I believe .com or .io, and his NFTs are just unreal. They're way more than your typical like static or base or kind of somewhat motion based NFT. Um, and his projects, when you look at like the behind the scenes and the recaps, are so intricate, they're so involved. I mean, honestly, I just look at, knowing what production looks like and cost and what's involved in it. It's just, these are massive productions that he'll do, every other year or something. It's always reinventing. It's like, it's not anything that he's done before or anyone's done before, honestly, which is extremely, of course, hard to do this these days. So yeah, no, I agree with you. It was a brilliant discussion. And so I think I think beyond photography, no matter what discipline you're in, you got super inspired to do more and find ways to, you know, enhance your craft to beyond the basic understanding of what it is. And I think when folks, if you weren't there, which most everyone was there, but if you weren't there, go to his website, you'll see what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Jeremy, thank you for ending Connect, at least the speaker session, the speaker portion on a high note. I just want to shout out one thing that Jeremy showed us. It was a light source shift, and it was a very simple concept, but it was so dynamic and so cool. Like I was just blown away by it. It was basically these portraits with the very dynamic lighting, and the lighting would kind of shift from left to right. And it was just so cool. I don't know.
Dude,
I just,
I think he called him he called those lithographs, right?
I
I
don't
think that's what he
remember.
called them. Yeah, I
And it
think that's what he
wasn't even
called them.
like the most technical or complicated or in the weeds part of his talk, but just the
Yeah, it
visual
was just
of it,
like,
it was just
oh
super,
yeah, I
super
invented
cool.
this. I
Yeah.
gave it a name.
Yeah.
Let's move on. It's like, wait, oh yeah, I've seen those. Dude, when you start involving code in photography, it's like it's extremely
Yeah.
intricate and detailed and like a whole nother level of technicality. I think he took, I'm gonna butcher these numbers, but it was like 20,000 photos in like a minute.
That's great.
Which some people would say like, oh well, yeah, you just hold the shutter down for a minute or whatever. No, dude, like there's projections on projections on projections, and then it's like real life subject matter. It's not like any artificial, superimposed green screen. It's like him with a white like bodysuit. And again, it's just mind blowing to see. Did you see the one where he did the layered NFT photography where it looks like this? It looks just like whatever, like me.
Yeah.
And then you turn sideways and it's like 50 layers
Just
of
amazing.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And he was like, oh man, I should have showed y'all the code. I forgot I was going to show y'all the code.
Jeremy's another one that also had a large group around him. He was like a
Yeah.
rock star, like rock star status after his talk. So that was
And
cool to see.
and one more thing I'll say about Jeremy, such a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that good of a guy. I will openly
You're
say
not.
it. No, he, dude, he's the founder of something called Purpose Hotel, and it is actually happening. He kind of described the process. It takes like a long time to create a new concept hotel, but it's, I would say he's a humanitarian. I mean, he gives back so much of his time to the community in Nashville. Once a year, he does family portraits for homeless people, and he'll invite all his
Wow.
friends out. And top photographers for a day would just invite people as they are. Not only do they photographic, they print it for them on site. So if you can imagine like a rock star photographer doing that. And then Purpose Hotel is please look it up, but it's a hotel entirely based, like everything in the hotel has purpose. So the soap is made by a woman's group in India, the towels are, a blind organization in Mexico. Like everything in the hotel, as you can imagine, has like purpose, the furniture, everything. And so it's called Purpose Hotel, and it's being developed. And it's just like, oh yeah, we're working on that. It's launching in 2026, whatever. We're like, that alone could have been just like super inspiring.
Just casually
but
mentions it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But just the one thing I'll add is like, we could do so much with our time. And he has 2 adopted kids. And not to say like that there's anything, really unique about that, but it does take, a heart and a special person to like make time to, it's just incredible. And he has 4 kids. So anyway, from that perspective, it was, like I said, just mind blowing to say you're doing all that. And you like, dude, last thing I'll say, he came from a day on the lake with his family to the conference. I mean, like I felt, it just shows how special Connect is. He was like, I wasn't going to miss this, but I definitely was going to make it work. I mean, he didn't miss the lake day, but it was just, again, just to show like how special it is and how special these speakers are when they give us their time and they share.
Man.
I mean, it's just, we're so fortunate to learn from them.
Yeah. And it's not just Jeremy, but so many of our
Yeah.
speakers just go out of their way to make time for us.
Yeah, they stop what they're
so
doing. They fly
appreciative,
in. Dude, DJ Skee came from Seattle. He came from the All-Star
right.
game and then back to LA. Jeremy Mitchell had to basically stop his business for a day and a half to come be. I mean, everyone, honestly.
Right.
But not only that, it's just, I just kind of want to reiterate like it's such a unique space. We're so lucky to be together and share. So yeah,
sure.
like you said, more than really honestly every speaker, Rob came from DC. I mean, they come from everywhere. It's just very humbling, man.
Yeah,
and it's also,
they put, at the very least, they're putting family time on hold for us.
Yeah.
They're working around vacations and work, and we're just humbled by it.
And that's the spirit of Connect, man. I mean, we say it in the beginning, like, hey, don't be a jerk, be humble and share. And that's like the heart of the creative athlete, right? Grind. And then speaking of grind, Rob Zilla comes off stage and gets ready for Drink and Draw, which is, one, it's a logo competition. It's logo versus logo. That's our tradition there. You want to describe the other half we added this year?
Yeah, so this year we did things a little bit different. The farewell party was a little bit different from the norm. For those of you that are regulars at Connect, we did move logo versus logo, which is usually after day 1. We moved it to the farewell party, after party, and day 2. But we had that sweet LED screen. So this is that was a game changer. We had the logo versus logo contestants actually competing on the screen in front of everybody, which I know is nerve-wracking, and I know takes a little bit of courage to do. So props to all who participated in logo versus logo. I know it's not an easy thing to do. And on the other half of the LED screen, we had Rob Zilla doing an illustration of some Nashville Predators portraits from scratch. And then we had Connor Henkel live animating the end piece that Rob did and making that portrait move. I mean, it was just it was sensory overload. It was mind blowing. We had the great music in the background. Logo versus logo always pops off, as and we don't share anything that comes from that. That's one of those, what happens at Connect stays at Connect. We had some really awesome contestants and submissions, man. Like for those of you that don't know what logo versus logo is, it's you have 10 minutes to design a logo, and it gets pretty crazy. So we had that going on, which is always wild. We got people doing the countdown like towards the end. 8, 7, 6. It's crazy. And then we have Rob Zilla and Connor doing their thing on the other half of the screen, which was also just like an added element of wow, like you know, you're seeing a master class happen like right in front of you as you're watching a competition, as you have a drink in your hand, as you're talking to other industry leaders and friends in the room. Just awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It was sensory overload is a great way to put it, man. It was, um, I feel like the element and the DNA of Connect. It's, logo, motion graphics, illustration. The only thing we're missing. Oh, and then we also had media day photography going on. The only thing
That's
we're missing
right.
was like a
I didn't even
live
mention
video
that.
production. Maybe we'll add. Maybe we'll do the like ultimate octagon or whatever that is, however many disciplines it is of like a live video feed production going on. But yeah, no, it was definitely probably one of the funnest logo versus, evenings we've had. Of course, being at the Sound Stadium the night before was awesome. Doing batting practice, shagging balls, and
Oh
playing
man,
cats on the field,
that was like
podcasting
a
in the
dream come
outfield.
true for a lot of us.
Oh man. But that second day was just, it's one of those things where if you're in the room, you can appreciate it and you see like how much fun we have, right? Like it was just so
Yeah.
much fun to see like the logos compete with each other, people sweating, Rob talking to people as he's illustrating, Connor like just so casually, animating the graphics. And so anyway, we love to do that. And we always talk about it every year. It's not like there's no pressure, but it's just fun, right? Like I think at the end of the day, when we have spare time, a lot of us do what we do full time. Like that
Mhm.
shows that you're doing the right thing in life. So yeah, no, what a drink and draw was great.
Yeah. It was definitely, that night was so fun. It was all about the creative athlete. We had a bunch of creative stuff going on, from the photo shoot, the media day headshots, to the live drawing, to the logo competition.
Dude.
It was just, it was all about the creative athlete. And I know that might sound a little cheesy, but that's basically what that night is about. It's all about you guys. It's all about everyone that came to the
Yeah.
conference. You're reconnecting with people that you've seen before. You're meeting new people, and you're basically making long-term friends, man. It's
For
a
sure.
beautiful thing. Uh,
And
so,
then and then you had Nashville and nighttime Nashville. I think if you know, you know.
oh, I thought we're not supposed to talk about that.
that's not that's the
That was the
bonus of
after
Connect.
party.
It's the bonus part, the outside of the agenda. Yeah,
That's right.
no, but you're right. I say that because walking around the street, dude, running into so many friends in the on Broadway, and shout out Cato, running into Cato Catato, lifting him up in the street and just having a couple laughs and then moving on to another spot. Like that's just it's yeah, I miss it already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're wanting to make sure you're there next year, make sure you start working on those budgets, start, building out your team and travel. And if you weren't able to make it, hey, now
Yeah.
this is something you got to be at. I know we're going to be announcing location soon in the coming months, so look out for that. And
Nice.
just so much other stuff coming, recaps. But yeah, man, this is fun. This is yeah, absolutely phenomenal conference. Learned so much, met so many people.
Best one yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best one yet. And we're always looking to make it better, which we will. It's going to be hard to top, but we already got some big things planned. And I just want to just say one thing in closing. Like, for a lot of people, it was your first time at Connect. For some of you, you've been great supporters, and you've been coming for since 2014. But I think the spirit of Connect is really what sets us apart. It really is about the creative athlete.
Yep.
I always kind of jokingly, but not jokingly, I say Connect embodies like really all of us, what we do in sports. You know, being a creative in sports is not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy schedule. It's very hard work. You know, but we work hard and we play hard. And I think that's what the conference really embodies. You know, you're going to get that knowledge, you're going to get that inspiration, and you're also going to have fun. So Chris, you could close this talking about some things you might want to drop that we have planned, or even a little preview or little nuggets that people have to look forward to. But
so
what do we got to look forward to in 24, man?
Couple things. One, workshops. If you're a videographer, which by the way, I know we already talked about Austin Prawl in our last podcast, but oh man, that dude put a master class on, which that's the type of workshop we want to be doing. So did David Port. I mean, honestly, everyone in the workshops. But yeah, we'll be doing more workshops, but we also are looking for you. If there's a workshop that you'd love to do in illustration, photography, videography, motion graphics, give us a holler, shoot us a note, drop us a DM. We definitely want to talk to you about that. Also, so anyway, my point in that is we're going to be scaling that as well, doing more for 2024.
Awesome.
We're also going to be bringing in small group sessions. We haven't defined that entirely exactly how it'll be. I know we've done some in the past, and there's some new formats that we could do that in the coming year, but we're definitely going to create a few different platforms for folks to get connected in small groups. It's so easy to, attend a conference when you have 2 or 3 people, or in some cases 4 or 5, like, some of the teams that we saw this year. But it is a little tricky to get integrated when you're solo, or what I call a lone wolf. But I've been there, I've done that. And or even, getting kind of, you come with the crew of 3 and you kind of end up kind of staying tight. It's not that we want to break up any of that, but we also just want to make sure that, networking is so important, and building a network of people you can call when it comes to solving solutions for your brand and for your team. So we'll be doing more of that next year, small group activations. So just look for that. And drink and draw, I think, is here to stay. I think for sure that's going to be, like I said, it's just, it's too wild not to do every year. And this is definitely the most integrated and immersive that we've done. So yeah, that's gonna stay. It might have to stay on the second night, but yeah. So those are just 2 quick things that I wanted to mention. Shout out if you also are in touch with a few amazing speakers that you've heard at different in different spaces that you think we should look into, DM us as well. We'd love to hear about them and look into them. But at the end of the day, our requirements are, just embodying the Connect, spirit of creative athlete, and having an inspirational story that is connected to sports and entertainment. That's a given. And so I think that's, and of course you got to be a good person. So other than that,
sure,
that's our requirement. But yeah,
you gotta be a better person than Chris.
It's not
just like Jeremy.
Yeah. And but yeah, reach out to us if you have any ideas or any feedback or any speaker suggestions, or would love to run a workshop. We're always looking for that. And also women in leadership as well, or even just women in general in sports. Please shout us out if you're looking to join a panel or something. We're just trying to do as best as we can to keep it diverse and keep it inclusive, and just get everybody involved at every level. Like, you don't need to be a senior director of X to be on a panel. You really don't. So just give us a holler. We'll put something together. It's great talking to you guys. See you again on the next.
Chris, it was great reliving day 2 of Connect, and until the next time, brother.
Yeah. Talk soon, Rossi. Later.